This is an atypical video for this YouTube channel. I usually post longer format, either silent hiking or scenic drive videos. But this time what I'm going to explore is this new format where I'm providing the highlights from a previous trip that I took earlier this year. And this particular video will be about a trip that I took to India, specifically to Mumbai and Goa. And this specific trip wasn't actually intended to be a hiking trip as I usually do, but instead the main reason for the trip was to attend a wedding of good friends of mine. So the husband was a guy that I know since I was in grad school, and he married this woman that her family is now based in India, in Mumbai, India. Even though they are originally from Iran, they are Persian, but the wedding was taking place in Mumbai. But perhaps I should start by telling you shortly about where I'm now. So this location is called Mount Eitan. This is the western outskirts of Jerusalem. And this specific location of the mountain facing southeast is called the Sataf. And there used to be an ancient agriculture village in this region. And this village was one of the primary suppliers of food and other goods for the city of Jerusalem. And actually this village predates the old city of Jerusalem, the ancient city of Jerusalem. It's more than 4,000 years old. The terraces, the stone terraces that you can see all over the place, many of them are more than 4,000 years old, dated to the Bronze Age. So let me just show you around this location. So this is a storage cave that was used for storing the goods that were collected, the agricultural products that were collected in this area, and I guess that it was also used as a shelter for the shepherds and the people that were working here. And here there are a few old oak trees, and these are the remains of the ancient Byzantine church, whatever it is left of it. And I guess that before it became a Byzantine church, this structure was used for some other things. Here we can see one of those other storage caves. There are some stairs here, carved to the rock. And there are some very old oak trees, which are actually quite rare for this region, and some olive trees. Of course, these olive trees are much more recent. I guess that some of them are a few hundred years old, but they are not the same olive trees that were used in antiquity, providing olive oil to the city of Jerusalem. Just showing you around, and to orient you, the building on top of that mountain is the Hadassah and Karem Hospital and the main campus of the Hebrew University Medical School. Some olive trees, and there is not a good view here to the Yochanan in the Desert monastery. Let me see if I can get a better view of it. So this is an old monastery. It's actually quite recent in comparison to some of the other structures in this area. On the slopes of the mountain you can see the Yochanan in the Desert monastery, and I think that this monastery was built during the time of the Crusades. Let me take a better view of it using my iPhone. So let me switch this camera off for a second. So I'm zooming in on the Hadassah and Karem Hospital, and then down the slope we can see the Jochanan in the Desert Monastery, and we can actually also see the stone walls surrounding this monastery. This is the west-facing wall of the monastery, and the south-facing one. Okay, very nice. Back to the story of my trip to India. So as I said earlier, the primary reason for the trip wasn't for hiking, but to attend my friend's wedding. So to put it simple, my hiking experience in Goa and the Mumbai area wasn't that impressive. I actually didn't even try to go out for hiking in Mumbai, although there seems to be some nature around it. But I simply didn't have the time in this visit, so I cannot say much about it. But hiking in the Goa area, I did a couple of hikes and took some long walks along the beach. But my experience wasn't the best, to say the least. To arrive to the different hiking sites, the best way to do that is to hire a driver, and those drivers, they act according to their own time constraints and their own needs, so that can be annoying and kind of compromises the enjoyment. And also in some of the locations there are lots of restrictions regarding what you are allowed and not allowed to do. And of course everything costs money. It doesn't cost much money, but it actually costs more money than hiking in many parts of the US or Europe, where you can go for free and visit national monuments and national parks. Maybe not for free, but in the US you pay this annual fee of $80, and that covers you for the entire year for all the sites across the country. And here in India, for everything you have to pay. You have to pay for the permit to get into a site, you have to pay for the driver, you have to pay for guides, and you have to pay for a photography permit, even though I didn't get a receipt for paying for that permit. So yes, it's quite annoying. So in this part of the Sataf where I'm now, you can actually rent a small patch of land and grow whatever it is that you like to grow on that patch of land. There are actually some residential private properties up there. And as you can see, this stone terraces is part of this ancient system of terraces that dates back to the Bronze Age. So earlier I started to say that hiking in Goa wasn't amazing, and actually the most annoying part of going to Goa was when I was checking to the flight from Mumbai to Goa. So usually I keep in my photography gear backpack my Garmin InReach GPS tracking device, and I had no issues flying with this device into India because no one is checking your stuff when you are entering a country, usually not, but it usually happens before you board the plane in the country from which you depart. So when I took this flight from Mumbai to Goa, I had to go through the security check in the Mumbai airport, and the security officer noticed this Garmin InReach device, and he explained to me that these are not allowed in India at all, and he will have to take it for me. And and I try to check with this security officer if there is any possibility for me to give him the Garmin device now, but then getting it back when I'm leaving India. He explained to me that this is not going to be possible, and in fact he has to file a formal complaint and get the local police involved, just to make things by the book. So this entire procedure took a few hours, which resulted in me not only losing my Garmin InReach device, but also losing the flight to Goa. And that was pretty annoying and an unexpected expense to the trip. We are back to the forest where the ancient Byzantine church was in. So I had to give the security officer the Garmin device. And then he and a guy from Air India, the airline I was flying with, they both escorted me through the process of them filing the complaint. Them is meaning the airport security, filing the complaint in the police. And then after kind of confirming that I had no ill intentions and it was all a mistake, they took the device, and the guy from Air India escorted me back to the airport and kind of helped me in booking my next flight. And actually, when I was, before boarding the plane, in the gate I discovered that I was upgraded to a first class, which was kind of, I guess, a way for the airline, a way for Air India to compensate me for the inconvenience that I experienced, which was kind of nice. I guess that there was no formal reason for them to do that. And then in Goa, I haven't done much hiking. I did only a couple of hikes, very easy hikes, because part of the problem is that it's quite difficult to go out for a hike in that part of India because of all of the restrictions, and I'm not sufficiently familiar with all the rules and regulations. So the two places where I visited near Goa were the Cabo de Rama Fort, which is an old Portuguese fort.
अरे उधर वो और सपने को आगे में
and Dudhagar Falls, which are supposed to be the main nature attraction in that area, which wasn't a very pleasant experience because once again you have to hire a driver to take you there, and then when you get there you have to hire another driver that takes you on a four-wheel drive car to the actual location of the waterfalls, and then you have to share the experience with many other people, because whenever there is an attraction that doesn't require people to work hard to get to, there are too many people there. And that is the case where the only or the primary way to get to those falls is to take those four-wheel drive shuttles. So that was a bit of a disappointment.
To see waterfall, we have to go from the sanctuary. Okay, this so that's why we are taking the permission of the forest department and we are entering into the wildlife. Yes. In the rainy season, this will be full of water. Yes. No one cannot come here.
נשבר לו הרסן הקדמי.
Per hour, extra charges 500 rupees if you are coming late. Okay? But you come in time.
We come in time,
Yes.
don't worry.
Yes.
We don't have any money,
Yeah.
so it's not משנה.
You come early, huh?
We don't have money, you take 100 after
Okay.
800.
दाखव ते.
All time take money.
So beside these two hikes, during the time I spent in Goa, which was a few days, I also took several walks along the beach. So I was staying in Agonda Beach, which was quite nice. There are not that many people staying there, and it's a fairly clean and long strip of beach. I think that it's about 2 miles long. And in addition to Agonda Beach, I also took a walk along Palolem Beach, which is more touristy and more crowded, but still fairly nice. And I also took a run between Palolem and Agonda. So after flying back from Goa to Mumbai, I had two more nights to spend in Mumbai, and during that time I kind of realized that I got sick during the staying in Goa. I'm not 100% sure how it happened, but most likely it happened following a short kayaking trip that I took along one of the rivers there, and I guess that unintentionally swallowing some of the water resulted in me getting infected with something, and it was quite annoying, and it actually it took me a while after I came back from that trip to fully recover from whatever it was. I had to take antibiotics and all this other stuff. So that kind of compromised the enjoyment from the last couple of days in Mumbai. But I had an opportunity to spend some more time with my friends, enjoying some very nice restaurants in Mumbai. Of course, the enjoyment was somewhat compromised by the sickness, but still, it was very nice.
So that's full of flavor and umami as well. So how you go about is you have a bite of the bun, simultaneously sip on the tea. So at the base is a savory salad made of water chestnuts and some local cactus. On top, for the vegetarians,
I had heard about this. They only came up later, only for the VVIPs. It's so insulting.
Flour. We give it our version of a tempering or a tadka with some green chilies, curry leaf, coriander sap, and for the fire.
It's like a club.
So yeah, this goes. No answer any insects, don't worry.
Pack it and take it and eat it tomorrow. Can I not have this?
Okay, so I'll put this over here, chilies, and your chutney right here. There we go. So you might want to take the best parts of the meal, first of your three. So we call this a pre-dessert.
A bit of saffron rabdi and poached pear slices. In the bowl, there's also a burnt ghee ice cream, some kachamboli caramel. That's a kind of a vinaigrette that's been reduced to make a caramel.
So the main take-home lesson: don't take with you a GPS tracking device of any kind. These are not allowed into India. I guess that you may be able to bring such a device in, but that will require some paperwork and having it registered and making sure that everything is okay. But this is for most of us would be too much of a headache and probably will require some additional expenses. Okay, so there is another interesting structure here. So this structure down there was used for oil pressing, and I guess that also grape pressing for wine. Let's go down there. You can see the mosaic, the old mosaic stone over there, and these two holes were used for, I guess, collecting the liquids after they were pressed in this small pool. Hopefully I will be able to make similar videos for other hiking trips. Actually, I have recently uploaded videos from two other recent trips. One was very recent, last June, to the Central Alps, and another trip was to the Northwest USA. So from those trips I already uploaded the long format videos. Most of them are already available on the channel. A few of them are still not available, but they will be available soon. And I also intend to post a similar overview summary video for each one of those trips. And in the backlog, I actually have a couple of 2 other trips that I still have to do some editing work and upload those videos. So one trip is from the southwest part of the US, hiking in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. And the other hiking trip was visiting all 9 national parks of California. So for both of these hiking trips I still have some work to do. I'm working on uploading those videos. So let me know in the comments if you had any similar experience as the one I described earlier, traveling to India, either if it was a trip to India or elsewhere. And also let me know if you have any suggestions or questions about what kind of videos I should upload next. And this is it for today.
We will give the quick tour. We'll give the quick tour. But here we have small charges. It was going to help for the workers because inside 3,000 people works inside.
The Lebanese family.
It's a washing machine.
Washing?
Yeah, it's a washing clothes morning. It's a skin problem.
Oh.
It's a chemicals. Yeah? It's a hand washing clothes. This is it. It's a red clothes. Big clothes. It's a spring dryer. Spring dryer is an air machine. It's a spin dryer.
A spin dryer, okay.
It's a water down.
Okay, yeah.
It's a top clothes, the down clothes. Sir, come in. The washing machine, 200 piece clothes 1 hour. Washing machine. Okay, ma'am. Nice clothes?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.